Hey there, history nerds and curious weirdos. Welcome to Naked History Debrief, the bonus after party to our latest deep dive into the past. If the main show is the main course, this is the bourbon that you sip afterward. Think of this as an extended footnote, a little late night hang, or just the best leftovers that you didn't know were still in the fridge. Before we crack into the good stuff, let me just say I hope everybody had a safe and rowdy and meaningful 4th of July. Whether you're waving sparklers, dodging rogue Roman candles, or just appreciating a moment of peace, I'm glad you're here. Now, loving history sometimes means sitting with contradictions, like how a country founded on liberty also built itself on slavery, or how we celebrate independence while arguing what it even means. But here's the thing. Loving your country doesn't mean ignoring its flaws. It means staying curious, holding it accountable, and honoring the people who have tried to make it better. And that includes a guy from the Bronx who snuck into Vietnam with a duffel bag full of beer. So, let's dive in. First up, we're going to do Naked Regrets, which is the segment on this show that lets me sort of peel behind the curtain for you guys. I'll let you know about this stuff that didn't really make it into the main episode, but I think is still important to talk about. And as epic as the greatest beer run ever was, and believe me, it was epic, we've only scratched the foam off the top. Now, in the book, Chickie admits that he didn't even really pack. No jungle gear, no sidearm, no itinerary, just a duffel bag full of socks, PBR, a few letters from moms, and a whole lot of New York confidence. And that wasn't some master plan. It was a, yeah, I'll figure it out on the way kind of thing. And somehow it worked. Now, my favorite running gag in the book is that Chickie kept getting mistaken for intelligence. The bearded, mysterious, asking about the soldiers' whereabouts. And the assumption was that undercover op was what he was and not drunken patriot with a beer service. And Chickie was the clever guy, and he leaned into it. Not a lie, not the truth, just vibing. And I'm sure most of you have probably been mistaken for someone else in the past, either at work or out in public. And you were just like, well, I'm just going to roll with this. It's that kind of clipboard confidence that lets you get away with stuff. At one point in Saigon, Chickie actually noticed street kids hawking U.S. military gear to soldiers, and he swore up and down that he saw a kid hawking a shirt that he himself used to own. In the book, it's sort of a blink and you miss it type moment, but it perfectly captures the absurdity marketplace that war had become, especially the Vietnam War. Black markets, bootleg gear, and capitalism all in the midst of the chaos. Now, for the people who have only seen the movie, in the movie it shows him going to Long Bin just once talking to Bobby Pappas and sort of puts together a series of events that happen a little bit a while apart. He actually did go to Long Bin once to meet with Bobby Pappas, and then the second time just to hang out. The base was a critical U.S. supply hub with a lot of security layers. Chickie, however, just walked in, asked questions, got a bed, stayed a few nights, drunk a beer, like he was couch surfing in Vietnam. And what's also missing from the movie is, it touches on a little bit, but the main trouble for Donohue was actually leaving, not getting into a war zone, but leaving a war zone. It didn't really end with hugs and high fives. His escape from Saigon during the Tet Offensive was total bedlam. He wasn't dodging bullets for cinematic flair. He was literally sneaking through checkpoints, pretending to be embassy personnel just to get on a plane. He had no plan, no ticket, just hope, hustle, and a well-timed nod to a pilot who probably still wonders, who in the hell was that guy? Speaking of the movie, if you saw the 2022 film starring Zac Efron, you probably thought, wow, this seems wildly dramatic. Well, you're not wrong. We're going to set the record straight on a couple of differences from the movie and Chickie's real-life adventure and book. So in the movie, Chickie is paired with a grizzled war correspondent played by Russell Crowe. Now, there's great chemistry on screen, but in reality, Chickie made the beer run completely alone. There was no journalist or mentor figure, just pure, I got this energy and the street smarts of someone who has talked their way out of at least 200 bar fights. Now, Zach's version of Chickie starts off as this wide-eyed and pro-war person, slowly evolving as he sees the truth on the ground. The real Chickie, however, was a former Marine who already knew the military machine's darker side, and so he wouldn't have been a stranger to what he would see in Vietnam. He didn't go into Vietnam to find a purpose, per se. He went to Vietnam because his friends were there, and he wanted to show them that someone still cared. Now, we touched earlier about the Tet Offensive, and the movie gives us bullets flying, dashing through embassy courtyards, and close-up explosions. But what Chickie actually faced was a lot more terrifying, because it was the uncertainty of it all. There was no script that he could follow to show that he would get out alive or anything like that. It was terrifyingly uncertain, with long nights hiding and trying to sneak onto airfields during lockdown. It was less of a movie in real life, but more of a Cold War spy thriller. Still terrifying, but without the Hollywood soundtrack. And finally, for the movie, at the end of it all, there was no dramatic monologue in real life like Zach would show in the movie. It was very much a, I know what I did, and I can live with that just knowing it was me. There was no big moral payoff. He just came back home, walked into the bar, and ordered a beer. Just like that, the message wasn't shouted, it was lived. So what did the movie get right? Well, it got the heart of the issue, the heart of the story, the humor definitely, and the pure ridiculousness of it all, and the powerful reminder that sometimes even a small gesture, like a beer, a visit, a reminder, can mean everything to the person that it's coming from. Now let's hit pause on the beer runs and take a quick detour through history. Here's what happened across this week, across the weird and wonderful timeline of humanity. On July 7th, 1928, sliced bread is sold for the first time. In Missouri, a local bakery uses a brand new automatic slicing machine. Now, personally, I'm a big Golden Girls fan. I watched it all day, every day, whenever I got home from school. And so I know that sliced bread is actually the best thing since Betty White. On July 8th, 1947, the U.S. Army announces it recovered a flying disc from a ranch in New Mexico. Later, they backtrack and say it was a weather balloon. Conspiracies still have not cooled off, and honestly, we don't blame them. Ever since the Storm Area 51 Facebook group joke that happened in 2020, I think we all kind of hope that there's something out there a little bit less ridiculous in real life. And finally, on July 11th, 1804, we get the duel of Hamilton versus Burr, Sir. The duel to end all duels and one founding father's political career. Burr shoots Hamilton in Weehawken, New Jersey, and the Broadway musical only 211 years away, and 212 years away from me knowing almost the entire album by heart. And that is your Chickie Donohue and the greatest beer run ever, Debrief. Hope you enjoyed the beer soak and myth-busting episode that it was. Thanks again for listening and for making room in your day for the stories that fall between the footnotes. If you like the episode, share it with one of your buddies who you'd absolutely bring a beer in the middle of a war zone to. Also, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. It helps us out, and sometimes algorithms even need love too. Next week, we're headed to Australia to meet the world's weirdest enemy combatant, the emu. Yes, the bird, and yes, it might have fought back a little bit harder than the Australians thought. Until then, stay curious, stay bold, and if you ever find yourself wandering into a jungle with nothing but a six-pack on a mission, maybe don't, but if you do, bring cold ones. Have a good one.